Hey guys, good morning everybody. Today is Monday, November 17th. It is 6:26 right now. We got market opening up in about 4 minutes. So looking at the chart so far, I'm just checking to see if there's any news for today to look out for. I mean, there was news right here, I guess earlier this morning. It was New York Empire State Manufacturing Index. It was positive. Looking at the charts, I'm trying to see if the market like even reacted to it. It doesn't really look like it did too much. Um, Other than that, we have the Fed speaking later today as well at I don't know why is this like why does the time look like this, but it's supposed to happen like right now at 6:30. So that's the only news it looks like, which is coming up. Then we have construction spending and stuff, which is super low impact coming up a little later. But anyways, good morning, guys. So again, today is Monday, November 17th. Hopefully everyone had a great weekend. 6:27 right now. We have market opening up in about 3 minutes. I'm going to take this off the chart. So looking at our first entry for today at 629, it's going to be against momentum. Weighted average is 60%. Probability of it hitting, buy 60%, sells 60%. History, it's won two out of the previous four entries. As you guys know, we talked about this last week. We're doing pretty much a 4 week rolling sample. So basically, I'm running the data within the previous 4 weeks to identify, possible entries here. So if you guys do want to take the entry here, it's going to be against momentum. So it's likely to be a buy if you guys are looking to take it. So it's just here so far. Morning CJ, morning Justice, morning Siege, morning Ben, morning Karen, morning everybody. As you guys saw in the chat, if you guys are part of the premium Siege and I created another channel here for algo extension. Siege is automating basically the process of putting together this charted data. Of course, there's gonna be a few bugs as we roll things out, but hopefully over the next couple of days, if not a couple of weeks, everything will be running a lot smoother. So we're going to keep testing things to try to make things as efficient as possible. But we'll just kind of see how it goes as we continue to run things more efficiently and figure out new processes to help with our analysis of these trades. So, anyways, first trade for today is going to be at 629, like I mentioned. So right here. Today's algo trades, as you guys know, I'm going to be documenting every trade. The trades that I'm typically looking to take are the ones highlighted in green. So 6:29 a.m., 6:32 a.m. I'll kind of just update these as price continues to, push along. Obviously, we're gonna have some gaps in between, so I'll have some time to kind of just wait and see how these entries come up, but I'll try to identify them as price pushes through. So, all right, guys, if you guys are looking to take the breakout over here on open, it's going to be a buy entry. It's against momentum. So I know Arik asks this question almost every day. He's not here right now, but if it says against momentum, it's going against momentum. So right here we have a bearish momentum. So it's going to be a buy entry for uh, the 629. So the candle's closing in about 15 seconds. Again, if you guys are looking to take this entry, I don't like that there's a big wick right here. So if you guys are looking to take that buy, pay attention to that. You have to look at the price action to see how price here is going to be moving. Typically, Mondays are very tricky, but it is going to be a buy right there. And candle's closing in about 2 seconds. So candle's about to close. And there goes the 629 candle. Huge spike right there. I mean, typically I don't look to take that entry anyways. The next entry that I'm looking to get into, actually try to get into, would be the 632. Which should be right here. I'm assuming this over here didn't play through. No, I didn't. Which is completely fine. So we have the first entry right here that I'm possibly looking to get into at 632. Only problem with that is that it is going to, I mean, we always have like a bit of an issue here, of course, with regard to, kind of spiky volatility. I'm looking for a possible buy here, but I mean, it doesn't really matter which direction it goes. What I'm really looking at is the momentum behind the candle. So I'm looking to see how the candles here are moving. I mean, obviously it's not looking super great. Like I would need to see like a buy signal come up on this current candle right here. You guys can see how we have the consolidation kind of bounce around this area. I would like to see a buy signal here and a continued push to the upside, right? Um, It's not looking like we're gonna get that here. I mean, we might have a possible entry here for a sell. So, I mean, the sells are also going to be okay for 632, but I don't like it when it's like when it's going both ways. I like it when it's one-sided, right? So if you guys want to take this entry here at 632, it's looking like it's going to be a sell because the sell signal is still valid. There's no buy signal which has come in between. Only thing I'd be really careful for is that this candle here is pretty huge, right? Whenever there's a big candle like this, you can expect some sort of retracement. It's about a 60-point candle right there. Basically one candle prior to entry. Okay, so the entry right here is starting to set up at 632, guys. If you guys want to take this, there's about 50 seconds left on this candle. In order for you to really be confident with this position, you want to make sure that this candle here closes red and it closes as a strong red candle. So if you see a wick on the bottom like this, or even if it's green, I probably wouldn't take the trade just to be straight up with you guys, because like I mentioned, you need to follow momentum to see how momentum here is moving. Looks like it's starting to establish some sort of floor right here. I mentioned whenever a big candle like this happens, it usually tends to retrace back to either the halfway mark or the full size. If it retraces the halfway mark or the full size, it typically will tend to either reverse or correct back down. So with that being the case, I mean, this right here at 632, it's not going to be a setup that I'm looking for, right? Because like I mentioned, if in order for me to take this here, I would need there to be a continuation of this big red candle right here, huge red candle, and I would have looked for a strong red candle to follow it right here. We have 5 seconds left on this candle. We're not getting that red candle that we just mentioned. So that being the case, no entry there for 632. So this would be a short position right there. You can see it's currently active and it's running. This is the 632 position. Um, Obviously, you can see here price is still pushing back up higher. So that's what we would have been careful about, right? Because we would have wanted price to keep pushing down with little to no resistance. And right here, it is kind of running into a resistance point. Not necessarily a resistance point from the top point, but what I mean is resistance with regards to momentum, right? Because you have a big red candle here. You want price to just keep dropping lower. And because it's not doing that, this previous candle right here turned out green with a huge wick on top. It would have been considered a risky entry in a sense. Not to say that it won't hit, but obviously I wouldn't take that trade there because I'm going against momentum. I want to go with momentum because the trade right here at 732 is with momentum, right? So obviously not a trade that I'd be looking to take. And it's a good thing that we skipped out on that trade because that trade wouldn't have played through. So you have to use some sort of discretion in a sense, not really discretion, but you have to understand how to read the charts, right? Right now, price isn't really going anywhere. Like I mentioned, when you're taking trades with momentum, you want price to be moving to the upside in continuation, or you want price to be moving to the downside in continuation. Right now, price is really just consolidating sideways. Let me go and draw a structure right here to show you guys what I mean. It's not a good time to be entering trades right now because price is kind of just going back and forth within this range, right? And you got to be smart about this because if you're not, then it's so easy for you guys to get caught up in fake outs. So you got that range right there. Price is finally breaking out of this area. If that's the case, then the 639 entry here could be even better if you guys are looking to get into that. Again, I haven't taken any trades today. I'm documenting these trades here, but I'm not taking them because, like I mentioned, well, and just in general, Mondays and Fridays are not days where I typically take trades anyways to begin with. So it's not like this isn't something new where I'm being a little more careful on a Monday. This is something that we typically apply to the start of the week. Mondays and Fridays are usually a bit of a riskier trading day because on Monday people are re-entering the market from the weekend, and Friday people are exiting the market for the weekend. We have a lot of different entries down here below, so I'm not really rushed to take anything. I mean, ideally, I might not even take anything today if nothing shows up well. But I'll keep following these trades here to kind of just identify momentum. I think I'm trying to I mean, before we tried to do everything a lot more mechanical with no discretion, but obviously you can see with this type of market, discretion is necessary, right? You can't just take every single entry because if you do that, you could end up with uh, with really bad um, entry points. So with this 632 entry right here, actually this would have been skipped because if you're looking at the numbers here based off the probabilities, we would have went for a buy, right? And the entry right there was actually a sell. So that one right there would have been skipped. I know I put buy, sell for direction here because it both has high probability, but you'd typically be going for the one with the highest probability there. There's only a few that have buy, sell. It's usually the 629 and the 632. Everything else here is pretty much weight in one direction. So we talked about this just a few minutes ago. Typically I like looking with some sort of direction because I don't want to have to think when the trade actually comes up whether I want to take a buy or a sell, right? I just want to know if it's a buy, I'm going to take it. If it's a sell, I'm not going to take it. So looking back over here at 632, weighted probability was 80.91. Overall was 80%. Buy was 81.82, and the sell was a 77.78. So because the buy here was stronger, there actually would be no entry here for 632. If you guys have been here for a while, you guys already understand that. Next entry is going to be at 639. So for this one over here, this is actually looking for a sell, no buy here. So let me just break it down for you guys real quick. 639. You want to be trading with momentum. The weighted average is 62.50. The overall average is 55. The buy percentage is 40.70, or sorry, 40%. And the sell percentage is 70. So you obviously want to go with the sells here versus the buys. However, looking at where price is currently at right now, this is probably going to be a buy on this one, right? Because we don't have like momentum's pushing up right now. So with that being the case, this here is probably going to be a buy, but I'm not going to be taking that one right there. Obviously, whenever I look for my entries here, I have a specific direction, which is going to be with the highest point of probability. So again, right here, this here is going to set up for a buy, but the probability here is 40%. So I'm not really looking to get into this one here unless it flips all of a sudden to a sell, which is not going to happen, right? I mean, you'd have to have a sell signal on this candle right here, and then it'd have to continue dropping immediately right after. Odds of that happening, very unlikely, right? Very, very unlikely. Let me mark up opening price here. I like to mark up opening price. So we have an idea where price is likely to return to, which is going to be right here. If it returns to that point, I mean, might happen, might not happen. Most of the time, it usually doesn't. But all right, so 632 here, there's going to be no entry. I mean, we already know it's not going to be an entry, right? Because we're looking for a sell. There's no sell signal. So once you guys get more familiar with this, it's going to be easier for you guys to really not predict, but to anticipate what's going to happen next. Right? Right now, I'm not anticipating or expecting anything because there's no entry right now. All right, so we're currently at the 639. If you guys want to take this position, I mean, again, we'll take a look at the numbers here. So looking at the trade analysis, this has won 4 out of the previous 10 buy entries. So if you guys want to take it, you can see the probability is against you. It's a 40% probability. Has a good sample, but the probability is not super great. The sells over here won 7 out of the previous 10. So obviously you want to look for a sell there, but this is not going to be a sell entry. I mean, even just looking at momentum here, it's probably going to be a buy, but I wouldn't take it. So right here, this is bullish momentum, right? So if you guys want to take it for a buy, you guys are more than welcome to take it. It doesn't meet the criteria here for a higher probability. You basically have a negative edge when you're taking this trade. So I personally wouldn't be taking it. But if you guys want to take it, I mean, again, it's really up to you guys, right? You're in control of your account. You are your own edge. So, and there's a huge wick right here, so I wouldn't mess with that trade. Like I mentioned, you have to watch the price action here. We try to make it as discretion, like with no discretion as possible, but realistically, you need to have some sort of discretion here, right? And see how price came down. This is what I was looking for, but unfortunately, just didn't meet the criteria. My probabilities here for a sell were higher, but we just didn't have the momentum there. And it looks like the sell here would have won if we did have that trade there. So it's all good. On to the next one. I'm going to be a little more dialed in with my entries here, so I'm not really going to look at the chat, guys. What I've noticed over the past couple of days or past couple of weeks is that I've been kind of distracted with the chat a little bit. So I'll answer some questions in the chat later. I'm just going to focus mainly on my analysis here, guys. I don't want to be distracted at all. So you guys are free to put questions in the chat. I mean, someone else will probably answer your question, but I'm going to be more dialed in on my analysis here because I don't want to miss anything and I want to follow momentum as price, moves around. I have to follow the price action here because if I don't, then we're going to miss a lot of entries here, and we don't want that, of course, right? This is the 641 entry. So looking at this so far, I mean, depending on like how this candle here closes, again, you want to see strong momentum to the upside, right? The momentum does line up here. It looks pretty good for the most part. Price is pushing up, small little retracement. You want to see this candle here close as a strong green candle, meaning you have a green body with little to no wick on the top end. If you have that there, then this entry could be possibly good. It doesn't meet my criteria, but it doesn't mean that this is not going to be a good entry for a buy, right? So looking at this so far, like we mentioned earlier, 641, the weighted probability is 63.89. It needs to be above 65 for me to take the entry. The overall probability is 50%, so that's like pretty much flat. The buy percentage probability here is 77.78, and the sell probability is 27.27. It won one out of the previous four entries, so the win rate is not super high in the past 4 weeks. And it looks like it's not going to come up for a buy here. Like I mentioned, in order for this to be an entry, it needs to be a strong green candle, which we don't have here. So right there, nothing there. So this is a no entry trade. Or actually, no, so this would be an entry trade, but let me just go back to that real quick. So this would be a loss actually. It would be a no entry for my analysis, but this here would be an actual entry. The reason why it'd be an entry here is because we were looking for a buy, but like I mentioned, I'm looking at the price action here, right? The price action doesn't show a strong momentum to the upside. That's why for me, if this was green, this here would still be like it would be an entry, but because it wasn't green here, we didn't have a 65% probability. It's not one of my target entries. I'm only taking target entries here, right? What we're doing here is I'm just documenting these trades. So I'm documenting them, but I'm not necessarily taking them. I still have my own discretion with this with decision of taking the trade or not, but for the most part, I'm still not looking to take these here at all. So we'll keep following this here. And again, I'll try to explain this as much as possible as we continue. Again, right here, guys, we have an entry at 643. This candle is about to close in about 20 seconds. This here is with momentum. Again, it's going to be another long position, but the price action isn't looking like a good long entry. So if you guys want to take it again, I'm just going to do my analysis here so that you guys can have an idea of like what to look for. This candle here would need to close as a strong green candle. Actually, this could close as a pretty good entry for 643. The candle's closing in a few seconds. This is going to be a buy entry right there for a long. You can see right there, it's starting to set up. Like I mentioned, you'd be looking for a strong green candle there. This momentum here is irrelevant for the most part. Again, I'm not looking to take these trades here. We're just documenting them, but we're looking at the price action here as price continues to move along. Let me go ahead and just draw a resistance box right here. And you guys can see how the market here is super choppy, right? It's back and forth. This is what we talked about last week. You know, when you're trading trades in the direction of momentum, you don't want to be trading in a choppy market. And this is basically the market that we've been kind of stuck in lately for November and for October because of the government shutdown. Again, this is not one of my target entries. The entries that I'm actually looking to take are going to be in the green. These are just every single entry that has above a 60% probability. So looking at this over here, the next one is going to be at 650. Now we have a little gap, so I could have a little bit of a breather here. I've been kind of going back to back. I just been firing off every single entry that came up. Now we have another one coming up right here at 659. Okay, so I can probably take a look at the chat in a few. Just give me a second, guys. I'm gonna just set this up now so we have something to pay attention to. Okay, so looking at the price action right now, price is probably gonna come back down, retest this area and range within here. I'm just gonna make sure all the data here is okay. Again, guys, I haven't taken any trades for the day. What I'm doing here for the most part is I'm just documenting all of the possible entries that have came up. Um, 643, that was, I think, with momentum for a buy. This wouldn't matter because there was a momentum there, and that would still be another loss. These are trades I'm not taking though, so just keep that in mind, guys. We're just putting this in the spreadsheet. So if you guys have seen the spreadsheet is over here. This is going to be updated at the end of the day. So I just started the spreadsheet on the 12th. We're just documenting every single trade that comes up. So for example, on November 12th, we had $1 win. November 13th, we have an $8 win. November 14th, we had a negative 2R. There's only two trades that came up. Everything was no entry. Here on the 17th, this will be updated later. We're just trying to see what the overall, like if you took every single trade, what would the statistics look like for November? Obviously, I'm never going to be the person that's going to take every single trade. That's just too much risk to be in the market. You know, if you're taking every single entry here, obviously there's going to be days where you're going to have like some good entries, but days like today, Monday specifically, you're going to have a lot of choppiness, right? We talked about this earlier, so you can see over here, even from last week's data, like last trading day, Friday, there was like almost no entries here. Very choppy day. Middle of the week's usually a lot better, but this will be updated later. So if you guys want to see that, it is posted in the Discord. The next entry again is at 6:59. So no entries for me today so far. We are following this. Let me check the Zoom chat real quick. Let's see. So Wes said missed the start of the session. 8:32 is both buy or sell. Commits no entry. Apologies if you've covered this already. So the reason why that there would be no entry is because I'm always going for the one that has a higher probability, right? I'm not going for both directions. So with 832, this had probabilities in both directions. So if you wanted to take in either direction, you could have, but the buy here was obviously the superior direction, right? That's why it's a no entry because the entry at 632 was for a sell. Right here at 632, we had a sell momentum and the entry would have came up over here for a sell. Again, we want to keep things as linear as possible, right? We can't have it where it's like a maybe, where it's like, okay, maybe buy or maybe sell, because then it's going to sway our statistics, right? Because if we, like, for example, I have buy or sell here, but if I was to, like, say, for example, this trade won, but the probability was for a buy and I took it for a sell, it would just kind of skew the data, right? So we just want it to be more realistic with regard to the direction of price. Let's see, Benoit said, Sean, if the idea is to document win or loss for every single trade, then you should not be documenting no entry. That entry should be documented, and you have to decide if that would be a trade with momentum or a trade with the direction. Um, yeah, I mean that's what we're doing here, right, Benoit? So the reason why it's no entry is because what we want to see is we want to have the data there, right? We want to have the data that there was an actual entry that was possible, but then I put no entry there. But the statistics that are actually documented are the ones that are actually taken. Does that make sense? Because we don't want to have we don't want to have these trades not there, because if you just have a few trades that are listed, then you'll think that there's only a few trades that are actually there, right? Because the thing is you still have to use your analysis to identify if the entry is there or not. So we are only documenting the ones that are taken. Does that make sense? Like these are they're not necessarily documented as an entry, so it's not going to skew the data here. It's showing that there was entries for this day. So like for example, if we look back to the 14th or any other day in the past, right? We're like, okay, let's take a look at November 12th, which is I don't know, I don't remember what this day was, Tuesday or whatever it was. We'll say that okay, there was all these entries did line up. So we're like, okay, on maybe Tuesdays, like we could basically focus on a specific day, right? Whether it's Tuesday only, or if it's Wednesday only, or if it's Thursday. Because what we're doing right here with Masij and me is that we're identifying that Mondays and Fridays are usually not good days to trade. Our edge right now overall with a 3-year period shows that we have about a 44 or 45% probability. And that's a good edge, with the 3-year period or a 1-year period. But we're trying to identify, which days are good to skip. And traditionally, I don't trade on Mondays or Fridays. Even though we don't have that data, we're just not taking we don't trade on those days because there's just no entries. That's why a lot of these are over here are just no entry because we're in such a choppy market for Monday and for Friday. let's see if I said, but then it's defeating the purpose of documentation of every single trade. I'm trying to understand what you mean by that, because the thing is, they're not documented; they're just on the list. Like, I don't see why there's a problem for them being on the list here. Because the thing is, we're like this list here is the trades that are possible for the day, right? So you want to know what was possible for the day. Like, you want to know if there was any entries that were available for that specific day. Like what I'm trying to get across to you is that we want to know what was available, even though they're not an entry. Because the thing is, we're pulling the data every night, right? So the data every night is telling us, okay, there was like 10 entries for this day. Because so we're transitioning from the fall market to the winter market. There's, the market moves in seasons. So with that being the case, we're going to see little smaller entries as we get closer to December. And we want to see that on the chart, right? Because we want to see that there's like what, one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine entries. And then when we get closer to December, there's going to probably be like maybe three or four or five entries, right? So that's going to show that the volatility is dying down and market is moving how it's supposed to. Because the thing is, like, if the market's not volatile and it's not moving, then there'd be no momentum in the market. The algo is based directly off momentum. So where we're using it, like the thing is, it doesn't hurt to have more data, right? Um, so I don't know like what you're trying to get across with that, but like the thing is, it doesn't hurt to have more data. Say so no, I'd say correct. I understand how it works. I will leave it now. We'll comment when I see a proper example. Okay, yeah, yeah. Let me know because I'm not understanding what you're saying. Because the thing is, like, this data is set, right? So like we can see how many trades are because the trades are identified the night before. You can't change that. It's just whatever has come up. But we want to see like what's actually coming up. Like for example, if I was to delete all these right here, right? And we only had a couple entries, that just wouldn't make sense to us because we're like, okay, why on the 14th there was only two that showed up on the algo when like previous days like this, there's like six or seven or 10 or whatever like that might be. We're using the data to identify like how can we improve the edge. So like the more data is better, right? You can't improve your edge if you don't have data and like with the history here. So that's why we're trying to improve the edge by figuring out like what are days or what are things to avoid. Like for example, if we have a lot of no entries at like 643 or at 6702, then in the future we're like, okay, maybe we just shouldn't be looking for entries around that time period. But it doesn't say that because like over here, like obviously on the 12th, there was an entry at 641, 642. This over here, there's an entry on that day. There was no entries on the 14th, and then again for today, there's like entries or no entries, etc. So let's see. Question from Masij. Masij is asking, do you think non-entries should even be shown? They don't break even, only targets do. I think for right now, because we're still trying to figure out Masij, we're trying to improve the edge. Right now, it's still important because we want to see like how the momentum shifts with the market, with regard to seasons and then with regard to because we don't have enough data, right? Because we can't improve, like I just mentioned, we can't improve the edge unless we have the data, right? Like if this, so for example, we have all this data here with no entries. If I was to give you a data set with like only a couple, then you could only pull so much, like you could only make so many adjustments based off that specific data, right? So I think right now, because we're trying to improve the edge, like the edge right now is good, but we're trying to get even better with the edge. We need to have more data. The more data helps, right? Yeah, I know it might be confusing to some people or even myself in general. The thing is like, if you understand how to read the data, it's not going to be confusing, right? Because you already know there's no entry there. So if you were to just look at the data here, you already know your main focus is going to be the green ones, right? But you know how we talked about, Masij, about the 50 to 100 TP stop loss? Like we wouldn't know that because we talked about how you have to lower or I have to lower my weighted average, right? Because if you look to the 50 to 100 TP stop loss, you're going to get like barely anything that's above 50, 65%. We talked about it. We have to like lower it to maybe 60. But we wouldn't know that unless we had the data there to show that there's all these entries which came up and there's only like one or two that were at above 65. So Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's good to have the data there. All right, guys, the next entry again is going to be at here at 6:59. We're going to have a bit of a streak of, or we have two entries that come up right after each other. We have this at 6:20, fixed 6:59, and then 7:02. I'll be probably looking at these, and then I'll take a look at the chat again in a few to answer anything. But looking at price right now, you can see price is ranging. It's doing exactly what I just talked about earlier. It's going back and forth between these 2 points of range. I mean, obviously, these are not good areas to be trading in, right? We want to be sitting, or you want price to be moving in a direction because our strategy here is based off momentum. So if price is chopping up between this area, it's not exactly what we're looking for. We typically want price to be ranging in a direction to, or moving in a direction to the upside or moving in a direction to the downside. It looks like sells here could be valid, but again, we would have to see how this here ends up playing through. And it's just not playing through very smoothly at the moment. So 659 right here, this is going to be against momentum. It has a weighted probability of 61.37, has an overall probability of 50%, buy probability of 22.22, and a sell probability of 72.73. It has a history of 2 wins out of the 4 previous entries. So for the past 4 week sample, that's what the history is looking like. And the direction for today is going to be a sell, of course. So like I mentioned earlier, guys, in order for this to be an entry, and in order for it to be documented, we're looking for it to be moving in a specific uh, direction here, which is going to be for a sell. Because the buyer probability here is too weak. It's at 22%, while the sell probability is at 72. The sample here is pretty good too. So if you look over here at the sells, it's only won two, or the buys, it's only won two out of the previous 9 entries. And for the sells over here, it's won the 8 out of the previous 11 entries. So the sells here do look like it could be good, but again, like we just mentioned, it's going to be against momentum. This is not going to set up properly, right? Because we have a sell momentum right now currently. In order for us to have an entry right here at 652 or 659, this would have to have a buy signal right here on this very candle, which is not going to happen. All right, so there's going to be no entry here for 659. Next one's going to be at 702. All right, so we have this right here. Like I said, 659 is going to be no entry. We have one more coming up at 702, and I'll be explaining that shortly. So we got nothing right here at 659. The reason for that again is because this is against momentum. We were looking for a possible sell right there. The momentum here is for a sell. So if this was with momentum, that'd be a trade that we'd be looking to take, right? Because it's going in the direction of momentum. Because this is against and we're looking for a sell, we wouldn't have an entry there because we would need to have a buy signal here prior to this actual entry candle. I mean, it wouldn't really matter because looking at the price action here, either way, it would be something that I wouldn't be looking to take because of the wicks on bottom. This candle right here also is not closing as a strong red candle. So right here, this would be a buy entry against momentum. It's pushing up right there. I mean, this trade could possibly hit. It looks like it's going to, but because the probabilities here were lower than we typically would look for, I mean, it's a negative edge. So let's just do the math real quick. So the negative edge here was, and it looks like the trade's about to hit, but let me see. So 50% overall plus 22.22 divided by 200. It has a very negative edge, right? The edge is 36.11. So it has, I mean, it's a negative edge, but there's still probability that it could still hit. So the trade there is running. I'm not in the position, of course, but the trade is running right there to 40 points. We talked about this before. So the entries that are against momentum, they're usually good in a choppy market. So how market's like really choppy right now, it's good because price is chopping back and forth within this area, right? That's why, like, for example, when market's going back and forth, against works better versus with, which is when price is typically moving in one direction to the downside or to the upside. And then the 702 is going to come up shortly. 702 right here is going to be with momentum. Again, it has a 63.34 weighted, 60% overall, 66.67 for a buy, and a 54.55 for a sell. It has a history of two wins out of the four previous entries, and the direction for that would be for a buy, of course. So for this over here, the um the entry at 702 is going to be buy. But looking at the price action here, so again, guys, this here is going to line up with the 659. Again, this is another reason why we document the trades, even though it's a no entry, because you can use this as a storyline, right? Not really storyline, but to like a confluence, basically. So, for example, you had this was against, which was against the momentum to flip the other way. And then now over here at 702, this is going to be an entry for a buy, right? If this candle here closes with a strong green candle, meaning like there's little to no wick on the top side and it closes green, then this entry right here would be a good entry for 702, right? One that I would actually take. Obviously, I'm not taking it because it doesn't meet my criteria. My criteria is very, very straightforward, right? I need it to be above 65. This is not above 65, so it doesn't meet my criteria for target entry. So again, depending on how this candle closes right here, it looks like it might close. I mean, it kind of depends. There's 10 seconds left on it. See this big wick on top? If I saw a big wick on top like that, this would not be a buy entry for me to take because you need to be going with momentum. And this trade here is looking like it could be possibly, but not necessarily. So I think this right here, I mean, this would be very tricky. I mean, obviously it's not a trade I'd be looking to take, but the candle did close green right there. It kind of depends on how you would have identified it. For me personally, like I said, there had to be no wick on top right here, right? No wick on top for me to want to take that there. So the 702 inch right here, I don't think this here would be, looks like it would have been a loss. So this one over here would be documented as a loss. Again, no entry that I took there, but we're documenting the trades here that have came up. And that right there would have been a loss. So guys, again, just goes back to what I mentioned earlier. See how market here is choppy? This is not the type of market you really want to trade it. And this happens almost every Monday and almost every Friday. So like looking back at my history of trades here, obviously, let's go to November, October. So I usually don't trade on Mondays, you can see over here, because what I've noticed, well, not really noticed, what I've realized over the years and over the months and whatever, is that typically Mondays and Fridays are choppy days. It's either choppy or it's either too volatile. The reason why it's too volatile is because a lot of big events happen on Friday, like NFP and stuff like that. Mondays because markets just kind of getting in order for the week. But you can see over here from my history of October, I just don't take trades on Mondays or Fridays. I don't purposely avoid trades on those days. It's just trades don't come up that I'm looking for. But all right, so with that being the case, 702 is documented. Next one is at 716. The trade right here is still running at what was it, 659? Not in any of these positions here, but the trade's still running. I mean, ideally, or not ideally, of course, I don't want price to go against it, but what I'm expecting price to get to is going to be this lower point right here, right? To bounce off. So let me clean that up right there. And then we have another trade coming up at 716. Let me just look at the chat real quick. So let's see. So Benoit said, so for 932 today, you would have a buy sell. No, so I don't, did you listen to my explanation, Benoit, about this? So I mentioned that this is buy or sell just because the probabilities are high enough. But I mentioned that I only take the trades that have the highest probability, right? So for the 632 here, like I mentioned earlier, this wouldn't be an entry that I'd be looking to take because it came up for a sell, like you mentioned, but the probability here was for a buy, right? I'm just putting this here for data, guys. Like, I don't know if there's like a confusion there with this, like with the data that I'm putting up. Maybe I'm just not going to put this up anymore in the future. I just put this here because the probabilities are high in both ends. But the thing is, with this is that for me personally, and what I'm generally looking for, and this is what it's been from day one, is I'm always picking a direction, right? The option there is to take either direction if you want to, but I'm never looking for either direction. When I'm taking a trade here, I'm only looking for whatever has the highest probability. So I think moving forward, I'm just not going to put that there for an option. If you guys want to look at that option, if both probabilities are high, then you guys can take it. But for me, I'm always looking for just one direction, right? I'm never looking at something like, for example, this trade over here that came up. I'm not looking at this where I'm like, okay, if this is, if it comes up for a buy or a sell, I'm gonna take either direction. Usually when a trade comes up, like same with the 632 here, I mentioned that, okay, if this comes up, I'm looking for a buy here because the probabilities are high for the buy, right? So yeah, if that's causing confusion there, I'm just not going to put that for buy or sell. Lila said, no, most of us understand the chart. Please keep it. So, I mean, yeah, if you guys want to put some input there, if you guys want me to keep it where it says buy or sell, where you guys have the option, um, just put something in the chat so I know like who wants it and who doesn't. Okay, everyone says to keep it. So, Vanoid, unfortunately, everyone's saying to keep it. So I don't know if you're the only one that's confused about that, but I'm always going for one direction. It says buy or sell there because the probabilities are high on both ends. But for my personal preference, it's always going to be whatever is the highest, right? And everybody kind of knows that. So yeah, okay. So I'll just keep it up there. Again, if there's confusion, guys, let me know. There's nothing wrong with your opinion if you guys think something's confusing or not, because maybe it's confusing to certain people, but for me it makes sense. For other people, it makes sense too. I'm always looking for one direction. So so the night prior, I always know which direction I'm trading in, right? And I already have the specific trades that I'm looking to take. Um, and it's okay, right? You guys can have your opinion if you guys think something's confusing or if you guys want me to change something, just let me know. And then we'll bring it up and we'll see if anybody else wants that change. Um, Obviously the majority here would prefer to have it both on. So I think we're just gonna leave it on there. Yeah, yeah, of course. So when I said I only quoted it because it had a buy or sell. This isn't the first time we've had this up here, right? There's been some days where you can take either direction. But for me and for our data here, I'm always looking for the trades that have the highest probability, right? And that goes back to what me and Messias were talking about earlier. We want to take out as much discretion as possible. Right now, it's just kind of hard because the market's so choppy, right? Like we have to have some sort of discretion here when it takes certain entries because we have like this type of market. The thing is, market's not always like that, right? Like for October, I feel like the market was more directional. That's why for October we had a ton of entries, and for November we have like almost nothing. It's kind of unusual. Well, not really unusual because we're going into the holiday season, but yeah, for November we just don't have very many entries to take. Vinoid said, which means if you took it for a sell based on with momentum being uh yeah, so Benoit said, which means if you took it for sell based on momentum being a sell, then that trade would be a loss. Messi said yes, but Sean would not have taken that. That's why it's no entry. Yeah, that's why it's not even highlighted in green, right? Or I mean, it is highlighting green, but it's not one that I would have because going going back to what I was saying earlier, guys, I'm going with whichever has highest probability, right? So I'm trying to explain that that's the case here. Like this doesn't you have to choose a side, right? You're either going to be a buy or a sell for that day, for that specific time. And the thing is, I chose a buy here, but I put buy sell because you know, people want the option. Like, for example, just because I'm looking for buy here doesn't mean everybody's going to only look for buys, right? So the data is just put out in front of you. But the thing is, like, I'm always looking for one-sided trade. So because the probability here is higher for a buy, then obviously I would only take the buy if it came up. And then just another heads up, guys. So if you guys are on here right now, I would highly recommend staying on till the end of the session. If you want to understand how to automate the process for putting this whole setup together, right? Masij is going to take over the session at the end, and he's going to explain how to automate this. I still do it by hand, but I'm also automating it so I don't miss entries. So Masiche has created a tool here, pretty cool tool. I don't want to, so sorry, I'm not going to log into TradingView right now because it's going to kick me out on my current session. But I'll load it up a little later, or Masiche will kind of explain it. Um, Masiche, and if you guys are part of the Discord, you guys have seen it already. There's another chat here that says algo extensions and automators. And Masiche has created this tool. It's a Google Chrome extension where it'll pull all of the backtest data and then you put it through Python and then it'll automate the trades over here. You guys have probably seen Masiche's post a little like over the past couple weeks. He'll post up trades like this for different assets. Trying to see where you posted it last time, Ashish. Like this. So if you guys want to see something like this where you get the info already documented for you like this, basically exactly what I have here, but it's pretty much done for you. Masij is going to explain that later on in the session. So just a heads up, if you guys, end up leaving early, I mean, the session will be recorded, but if you guys want to see Masij explain it in general, he'll um, he'll be explaining it to you guys. So it's a cool thing because you can run it for different assets. You don't have to run it for YM. You can run it for ES, gold, etc. Um, and it just kind of depends on like your preference. So if you want to trade different assets and you just want to run the data here and have this kind of be spit out for you, you can do that using Message's Google Chrome tool. So, all right, guys, we have the entry coming up right here at 716. This is going to be a target entry. It's going to be against momentum. Weighted average is 65% probability. Overall average is 55%. Buy percentage over here is 41.67. The sell percentage here is 75. So again, this is what we just talked about earlier, guys. Um, because the probability is higher here for a sell, I'm specifically looking for a sell here, guys. So just to, so nobody gets confused. Um, this right here is going to be for sell. Okay. I just want to make sure that you guys get that. Um, so, going back to that 632 entry, like just another, just to touch on it again, this doesn't happen very often, guys. This maybe happens for like maybe every once in a while, right? If you look at the stats over here, it doesn't come up very often. So like if that's a confusion to you guys, I mean, it's only come up a few times for that specific entry at 632 because it's usually one-sided. Right? For the most part, it's usually one-sided. One side's going to have more probability than others. But the thing is, like when you have probability like that, it's going to show you that, the probabilities are very high on both ends. So, I mean, unfortunately, it's confusing to some people to have that there. But just to ignore it then if that's the case. If it's just confusing to people, just ignore it that it says buy or sell. Just act like it's invisible and then look at the other ones because it's not going to happen very often. I just want to make that clear. It's not going to happen every single time. Like you're not going to have a ton of entries that say buy or sell, so it shouldn't be too much of a confusion. It's usually going to be maybe one or two entries. Like for example, the 629, right? They're all 60, so I don't have. This is an example where I can't really make a decision, right? So I think in a situation like this, it would have to say buy or sell. But yeah, for something like this, that stuff doesn't really happen very often. All right, the entry's coming up right here at 716, guys. It's going to be against momentum like we talked about. I'm looking for a possible sell here. So in order for me to have an entry right there for that specific 716, I would need to have a buy signal come up. Yeah, I would need to have a buy signal come up. I'm going to draw a little more of a structure right here so that you guys can see the choppy back and forth that we're currently experiencing. All right, so looking at this right here. But again, guys, if you guys have any opinions, any concerns, any of that stuff, really. I mean, you're welcome to hop into the chat, guys. I know you might get hounded in the chat, but it's okay. If it's something that confuses you, or you need some explanation, or you need to understand something a little more clearly, just feel free to hop in the chat. The last thing I want is for someone to not feel comfortable with getting into the chat, right? The chat's, the chat's open to everybody. So whether you have a good question, bad question, or something in between, I want to clear it up for you guys. I never want to leave anybody in the dark. Like I always want you guys to have your questions answered. So, all right, guys, looking at the entry right here at 716. Okay, so this thing actually came up at the very last second. So this buy signal right here came up at the very last second. This is going to be against momentum. Like I said, I'm looking for a sell signal here or a sell entry. So I need this to close as a strong red candle, right? I basically want to see a fake out right here in order for me to take this entry for a sell. We have a buy signal here. Momentum is pushing up. If this, for whatever reason, comes down at the very last second, and closes as a red candle, this could be a possible entry. But it's not looking like that's going to be the case here. It looks like this is actually a pretty strong green candle and it might just continue pushing up higher. We have about 20 seconds left on this. So looking at this so far, yeah, looking at this so far right here, this here is going to be not a sell entry. So there's no entry there for 716. No entry. I mean, this could easily play out, but there was no entry there for. Actually, no, sorry, I take that back. There is an entry there. My bad. It is just not an entry for myself. So this was an entry, but it just wasn't an entry for myself because I wanted to see the volume here and momentum kind of die out. So this was an entry here for sale. Sorry guys for the confusion if you that confused you guys a little bit there. But this entry here did play through and it looks like it's about to hit target right there at 40 points. Yeah, I think this is gonna hit because there you go. Because we didn't have any drawdown immediately on entry. Usually, if there's no drawdown immediately, it's most likely going to hit. The only problem here is that it's stuck at this support level. It might have trouble getting past it. Like I mentioned, I don't like when the market's choppy like this, right? So this one right here. So Messi got out for 1.5 R, which probably smart decision. Like I mentioned, there's got to be some discretion here. Ideally, I wouldn't pull out for partials, but we already see how the market here is moving. It's kind of just bouncing back and forth between these structures, which makes it kind of difficult for price to actually push through. But I do think it'll push through. From previous data off this algo, we've seen that whenever it does revert, like if it doesn't go into drawdown, it usually hits, and it's going to hit right there, full TP. So that right there was a full TP. For the day so far, it's currently at a break even. So this is a win for 2R. I'll put the totals a little later. I don't need to put them right now. I'll just put totals. All right, full TP right there, guys. That was like the first like target entry that came up for the day. So again, guys, this is why I try to trade with the probabilities. The thing here is that my discretion here prevented me from getting into the position. Um, this is something that we have to work on because obviously the discretion here could skew the probabilities or not the probabilities, but the results. But what I've realized, or not what I've realized, what I've learned over these past 2 months of applying this algo is that discretion helps more than it hurts, right? We've talked about this before, like the discretion helps more than it hurts for the most part. So I'm going to keep using my discretion in a sense until like the market starts to move more directional. Right now we're in a choppy market, so I think the discretion here is definitely more beneficial than not. Yeah, Masih said I didn't like that retrace. All right, next entry here is going to be at 728. Yeah, this is another problem. Well, not a problem, but like it just goes back to what I mentioned right there with the discretion, right? Masij. So Masij used his discretion to pull out of the position early. Um, for me personally, I think if I'm in the position, I'm either going to be all in or all out. The only time I use discretion is whether to take it or not. But when I'm in that position, I will probably never pull out early, um, just to go off, the information, of course. So let's see. Vinoid said this is exactly what I was trying to say. There was an entry at 1016 for a sell. Good that Sean corrected it. Yeah, no. So that was an entry there because that was one-sided, right? I don't think this really goes back to what you were talking about earlier, Bernard, because you were talking about how like there's a buy or a sell there. But this goes exactly with what I was explaining, right? I went with this because it's had a higher probability. Same with this one over here. You said it should have been a sell, but it shouldn't have been a sell because the probability was higher for a buy, right? So um, I think those are like two completely different examples. Because you're arguing that like I should have put a sell here. And I don't mean arguing as you know you actually arguing. I'm just saying that you had a point that you were saying that this should have been a sell, but this obviously shouldn't have been a sell because the probability was higher for a buy, right? So I'm just trying to like understand your side of it because right now it doesn't make sense how you're because this doesn't the 716. Yeah, I made a mistake on like calling it as no entry, but we were gonna fix it either way because someone else was gonna tell me that that was a mistake. Anyways, back to the setups over here at 728. We have another one coming up here. 728 is going to be with momentum. It has a 65% weighted probability, so it's about a 15-point edge. Overall probability over here is a 55%. A buy probability is 41.67 and a sell probability of 75%. So with that being the case, I'll probably be looking for a possible sell here I'm gonna take this off. I don't really care for the, I want to keep the charts as clean as possible. Um, yeah, the next entry I'll be looking for is going to be right here at 728 for a possible sell. So in order for this here to play out, we need to have or we need the sell signal to stay valid. And I need to see price action point towards momentum pushing down. We'll see. We'll see. Let's see. Sam. Hey, Sam. Sorry, I'm just looking at the other chat right now. Sam said, love that you finally are journaling this algo. It's a brilliant algo, but this helps tweaking for better results. Yeah, I agree with you 100%, Sam. Hmm. I'm glad we're documenting every single trade now too, so that we can make those tweaks and improve the edge. Right now, the overall edge is at 44%, 44, 45%. So it's a good edge long term. It's just, we want to improve that closer to 50, of course. Anything above a 33% prob or anything above a 33.33 in general is going to be profit. So, having 10 to 11 point edge over a long period of time is a really good edge for a 1 to 2. Because if you have that edge, then you can just add size to it. Obviously, the bigger the edge, the better. So we're gonna try to improve that as time comes along. I think we need to have like at least a year of like data in general. Yeah, PC said, but based on your trading journal, since applying the algo, discretion hurts more than it helps. Yeah, and I agree with you 100%. We're trying to take the discretion out of it. So once we have enough data that we have, that, if we have, once we have enough data to understand like how to improve the edge with discretion completely removed, then we can do that. But right now, it's just, for me personally, I feel like we do need discretion to identify momentum until we have that other filter to really identify when not to trade. The one filter that Masij and I have kind of noticed is that Mondays and Fridays might be days to skip. But again, we don't have enough data to really determine that. So once we have enough data for Mondays and Fridays, then we can decide. The cool thing is that my trade journal here is also going to document that, right? My trade journal will, and I think if I could do overview over here, trying to see, I forgot how to, oh, it's snapshot. So this actually kind of helps right here. I mean, I don't know if it shows that my losses typically happen on a Wednesday though, so I don't know if that's really the case. But I'm looking over here. This is pretty much my data for the year so far. It shows that actually Wednesday is my worst day, and this might just be because of me. Um, but I mean, we could probably. I mean, it wouldn't work because we only have 1 month of data, so it's not really going to be But this is my data for the year. Basically, it shows that Mondays and Fridays are actually okay days for me. Tuesdays are my best days. And for whatever reason, I typically lose on Wednesdays. I'm negative for Wednesday in general. So I'll keep, obviously the more data, the better, and we're just going to try to improve on it. But yeah, once we have more algo data, we can actually use it to our advantage. Right now, we just don't have that data. But yeah, we're going to try to take discretion out completely. Yeah, PC said keep doing what you're doing. through things will balance out over time. Yeah, and that's the main goal here, right? We're just improving the algo day after day. Right now, it's for the most part, it's pretty systematic overall. It's just my discretion with t entering or not entering a trade. And like you said, it does affect it because um, we want to have a real number with the with the trades coming without discretion. I think what I'm going to do here as well is I might with the spreadsheet over here, I'll create another one right here, and it'll just have the target entries. Right. I think I'll do that where it'll only have the target entry so that we can see what the probabilities are without everything listed. I think that's going to help a lot too. Well, I have a bunch of ideas, guys, so don't worry. We're going to find a way to improve the edge. It's just right now we want to have as much data as possible, and then we can kind of trim down that data as we have enough to work with. All right, we have the entry coming up right here at 728, guys. It is for a sell, so we need to have the sell signal here close. If the sell signal here closes, I'll be looking for possible entry here at 728. Right now, we don't specifically have, we don't specifically have that opportunity yet. So 728, I'm looking for this candle right here to close. And then if this candle does close, I'm gonna look for a continuation right here at the 728 candle. So we need this to actually close with the sell signal. We have about 20 seconds left on it. And then at 728, I'm gonna look for a strong red candle to follow through for us to have an opportunity there for a sell entry. Here's where it becomes a little bit of a tricky. I mean, this is where the discretion is going to be. It's gonna really affect it the most because we have the support level right here. Okay, so this is where the discretion kind of like takes its toll. So right here, I'm looking for a strong red candle. It's not looking like a strong red candle right now, right? We have a strong green candle there. So this is where the discretion here kind of where it really shines the most. So, and we'll see here if this, it's not looking like an entry though, guys. Looking at this so far, this is a strong green candle. And this is where my discretion comes in. We have 30 seconds left on it. It's not looking like price is going to come down in this last 30 seconds. So unfortunately, this looks like something that I'm going to skip. As much as I wanted to take this as an entry, it's, obviously, and this is where the discretion, and we'll see if it's good or a bad thing, right? With this specific candle entry right here. So let's see this right here. Because of my discretion, I'm skipping this entry, right? Because I wanted a strong red candle to come up or some sort of red candle in general. This candle came up green. Because it came up with a buy signal, has no significance. This entry here is still a sell entry, right? And this is using my discretion here to avoid this trade. And I probably would have to I think I might have to put my notes here, whether it's well, I mean, for the most part, all these entries would be at my discretion, right? All the ones that came up, they'd still be skipped because of my discretion. So the trade here is running. This is the 728 candle or the 728 entry. But this trade was avoided because of my discretion because I was looking for a strong red candle to follow this momentum and it didn't confirm that. Of course, I would still want this trade to hit though. Even though I didn't take it, I would still like it to hit because I don't want the data here to be bad, right? I want the data to be good. So we'll follow it and we'll see. Let me go over here and I'm going to look at the questions again. So we had a couple questions here on the YouTube. So Brady was asking, why is the stream so delayed? The YouTube stream is delayed by about 30 seconds to a minute. That's just like standard for YouTube because I'm not streaming directly to YouTube. I'm actually streaming through Zoom and then it connects to the YouTube. So I think there's just that delay in between. I don't purposely do it, but if you want the real-time stream, you can get it on the website. So that right there. Answers your question. For Wing Me, he's asking how can our chart vary different? Um, it might be because of the delay, Wing Me. Yeah, because I think you have a 30-second to 1 minute delay on your chart. I think that might be the issue. Let's see. Sam said, I'm also more curious to see how it performs during news weeks, like the first 2 weeks of the month, CPI, NFP. Yeah, and I agree with you too, Sam. We haven't really been able to apply the algo during news weeks because there just hasn't been news, right? The government shutdown caused there to be no news. Um, and I'm also curious because I want to see how it reacts to something like NFP, CPI, PPI, Michigan consumer sentiment, Fed statement, et cetera, which we obviously don't have here. Um, this is Fed week though, so we might have the Fed statement this week, but I personally don't. I don't know. I like to see how it reacts to those news events as well. So we'll see. I think that's the only big news event for this week, right? Let's check the calendar. We have ADP and employment change weekly tomorrow. It's high impact, but it doesn't usually impact the market that much. The big news events on Wednesday, of course, we have housing data and the FOMC minutes. So I'm curious to see how it reacts to that as well. And then Thursday, we have some jobs data over here. Oh, wow. So if you guys see this over here, we actually have all the NFP data coming out on Thursday. There's a lot of jobs data here. That's crazy. They're just bunching everything on this Thursday. So on Thursday the 20th, they actually have NFP data, it looks like, for September because we didn't have anything in October. That's kind of crazy. There's like jobs data for September, then jobs data for October. I think they are doing NFP for both months. No, so it's only NFP for September, and then they have like all the jobs data basically from September to October. I think that's pretty crazy. It's a lot of data here on Thursday, and then Friday we have Michigan consumer sentiment. Okay, so it looks like they're starting to like kind of bunch up the data here towards the end of the week, and we'll see how the algo reacts to it. All right, looks like the trade right here won, guys. All right, so full TP right there. Unfortunately for me, like I mentioned, I skipped the trade there because of my discretion. Looks like the trade there would have won. So if you guys took it, nice work. If you guys didn't, completely fine. But yeah, there goes the inch right there. Again, shows that the algo here works perfectly fine without my discretion. Um, I think for now, though, I'm still going to keep using my discretion to prevent getting caught in like, these kind of crazy trades. But the trade there did play out. So if you followed it just as it was supposed to be applied, full TP right there for the 728. So right now we're currently positive for the day. You guys can see we had a couple losses as price went around, and now we're at 2R, or we might be around there. I'll have to add it up later. I mean, we might be at break even actually. Masij said, Sean, I need to talk to you after about data safety. By having all this info on your chart, the generalized code of the algo can be leaked as you get bigger. That's because of you without discretion. Fridays are bad and Mondays are break even. Sean check DM. Sent you the full year of data. Okay, perfect. Thanks, Masij. Let me check that real quick. Yeah, no, I agree with you too, Masij. Unfortunately, like that's gonna be like one of the things you want to be careful about as, the fund gets bigger because everybody's gonna want to see certain things. So I mean obviously, yeah, we're gonna have to improve on that. Okay, so here's the data right here from Masij. Yeah, so Masij over here has this is a year's data, right? Yeah, so from November 11th, 2024 till today, it has a total of 1,688 wins, a total loss of 2,745. It has a win rate percentage of 38.08. Net PNL is 36,500 and directional match rate is 50.58. So you can see here over a year period, if every trade was taken, this here would still be profitable. Again, you just have to add size to it. Just kind of depends on like how much you guys would like to risk on it. But I mean, the statistics here, they're pretty I would say decent in a sense. They're decent. Um, well, I mean they're better than decent, right? I think if you have this kind of edge, if you add size to it, like I'm not sure what lot size you're using for this right here. Message, maybe I'm missing it. Yeah, but depending on your contract size or lot size, this could be multiplied. So yeah, maybe 36,000 for I don't know how much did you put it here? Okay, so this is just one contract. You guys think about that right there. That's just one contract for the data. So if you were to increase contract size, right, an average contract size would be about like 10. So I mean 36,000, that's just one contract times 10. You'd be closer to like 365,000, which would be more realistic. I mean, it depends on your size, right? And if you're trading multiple, like say Apex accounts, that would be, you do that times the account size. So for example, if you're doing five contracts, so 36,500 times five times 20, you can multiply very, very, very quickly. So yeah, the edge there is good. I mean, you can see I just did the math there. Like the edge for one contract size is 36,000. That's actually really good. Because typically you're not going to use one contract. You're going to be using more. So yeah, no, thanks for the data right there, Masish. So this is the data for basically 1 year of data using the algo, taking pretty much every entry with no discretion, which is good. I think it's pretty solid. Yeah, and then Smith also mentioned it seems slippage and fees can make that edge not super high. Yeah, so you'd have to kind of factor in that too. So I would say maybe cut it down by like maybe 10,000 because of the fees. So let's see. Let's do the math again there. I mean, it's still pretty good. I mean, anything that's profitable, I think it's good for the most part because you can always improve edge from there, right? So like 36,500 minus 10,000. I mean, this might be a big number to be cutting from it, but let's be conservative here, right? So it's more realistic. So 26,500, and then again, if you wanted to do 10 contracts, typically I would see people build up from 10 to 15. So like you do 15 contracts by the end of the year, right? I mean, you're gonna scale up. You're not gonna start at like 15, but you're gonna go from like one to three to five to whatever. And then as you make more profit, you're gonna scale up. So like ideally, this is kind of factoring in slippage and fees. If you build up to that 15, we're talking about a year period, right? So you really shouldn't be using one contract for a year. I think on a monthly basis, if not a weekly basis, you can always increase. And and I would say like if you're going to increase, you're never going to decrease back down, right? So even if you were to, and we could just do this. So you start at one contract, then three, or we'll just multiply by two. So one times two times 12. So by the end of the year, you'll probably be at around 24 contracts. All right. So again, 26,500 times 24. The profits are good. I mean, I'm just trying to make that clear that the profits would be good regardless, your contract size, but you would scale your size, of course, as you start to make profit over the year. So I think that'd be a good estimate of like to keep it pretty conservative. All right, but anyways, thanks for the data, Masish. It's good to have that data there so that we know in the future, what to really look for and pay attention to. All right, so we have another entry coming up right here, guys. This is gonna be with momentum at 741. It's not a target entry for me, but we have this here lined up. All right, so looking at this right here. Yeah, and Masish had also wanted to let you know that October was the best month out of the whole year for the algo. So don't expect months like that all the time. Yeah, I was thinking that too. Like October was it's a unicorn month, right? We had a crazy, crazy month for October. Um, but yeah, being realistic, definitely shouldn't expect that to happen forever. All right, guys, so here's the entry for 741. It's coming up shortly. Again, depending if you guys want to use my discretion or not, it's going to be for a sell. So it's going to come up for a sell here regardless of my discretion or not. Here at 741, it has a weighted probability of 60.84. It has an overall probability of 55%, buyer probability of 45.45, a sell probability of 66.67. The history shows that it's won three out of the previous four entries. and its direction is going to be for a sell here. So if you guys want to take this trade here, I mean, feel free. You have about a minute until the entry sets up. It's going to be right here at the support level. So like depending on your discretion, it's either going to bounce off here or it's going to break through it. It could either be a double bottom here, or it can blast right through and drop down further. So if you guys are looking to take this trade, again, this trade's going to come up right now after this candle closes. It has about 40 seconds left on it. Using my discretion here, I'm looking for a strong, well, not really a strong red candle, but I'm looking for a candle that's not weak, right? Like I'm not looking for something that has a big wick on the bottom end, like this right here. Like if this was to close with a green candle with a wick on the bottom, I wouldn't take it because I would be worried for a double bottom to happen here, right? But if this candle closes strong red, this here would be the setup. So if you guys are looking to take this entry here, I mean, feel free to take it. But again, it's not a target entry for me, so it's not one that I'm necessarily looking to take here. So, all right, this is the entry right here for a sell. It's currently running. Not in the position, like I said. The reason why I'm not in it is because it's not a target entry for me. And good thing that I didn't take it. Well, I mean, it wouldn't have been an entry to begin with, but that trade there did not play through. And so we got one more entry here at 7:43. It's about to come up. After this, Masij can take over. I'll be working in the background. I mean, Masij will be talking and I'll be paying attention, but I'll be in the background kind of adjusting this. So, I think what I'm going to do here is I'll be updating the statistics on the chart over here. Then I'm also going to delete or I'm going to edit it so we can have the list of only target entries. So we'll see as this here, obviously continues to play through. So let me scroll over here real quick in the Zoom, or let's just wait for this entry here. So the entry at 7:43 is going to be for a sell. We're at the 7:43 candle right here, but again, using my discretion, if this candle doesn't close as a strong red candle, I obviously wouldn't take the trade there. And it's not looking like a strong red candle here. It has 20 seconds left on it. We have a huge wick right here on both sides. Big wick on top, big wick on bottom. So again, using my discretion here, I would be looking for this here to close as a red candle with no resistance from the bottom end, which has a big wick right here, right? And it's a strong green candle. So this for sure is going to be not an entry I'm looking to take. If you guys wanted to take it right here, I'll mark it up for you guys. But again, using my discretion here, this is not a trade that I'd be looking to take because it shows that momentum is pushing to the upside. And obviously I want to go with momentum. So this is not a trade that I'd be looking to get into. So today's a typical Monday. No entries for me today, and good thing I skipped out. So this is another reason why my discretion here is necessary for me specifically, because if I would have just jumped into this position without using my discretion here, it would have lost the trade. So, and these are just realistic statistics for the trades for today. So I'll add this up for the day so far, and then Masij, I'll let you take over in a second. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 losses. 2 wins for a 1 to 2 risk to reward. So this will be I mean, these basically cancel out. So these cancel out these two. These cancel out these two. It's negative 2R. So today wasn't a horrible day overall. It was only at a negative 2R for the most part. So it's actually not bad. It's just a losing day, but it's just one loss. If you were to factor this in as every trade taken, But I'll change the well. You'll see in a little bit. I'll kind of make some adjustments here. Of course, I'll just put this over here under trades so that we have that documented. But all right, Masij, if you're ready to take over, or let me just read. Let me go through the chat real quick, Masij, and then I'll let you take over. I just want to make sure I didn't miss any questions here. So Masij said, I also want to let you know October was the best month. I didn't expect a month like that. So for 43, Masij was looking to take a buy. So if looking at the data, yeah, the buys most recently had more wins right there, right? So I'm looking over here too. There's more trades here for buys as well. So like you mentioned, you wouldn't have taken a sell. Better for long despite win ratio. So would not take. Yeah, no problem. So Masij is going to come on in about 5 minutes, guys. If you guys want to sit in and understand how his extension works, we'll be talking about that. How to like scrape the data from TradingView and then um, how to scrape the information from TradingView and then running Python to generate this list of trades like I do here. I do this by hand, but Masij is going to show you how to do it automated, so you don't have to do it by hand. So let me scroll up again. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything here. So like, yeah, PC also mentioned the other day, I mentioned your entry sometimes might line up with mine, but different entries sometimes. I use a 100 point TP, 50 point stop loss. Yeah, we try to, we're going to try to implement that PC. Masij had some data on it. It just shows that not a lot of entries come up, but I mean, it wouldn't really matter, right? I think as long as we have more consistency and probability, the 100 to 50 would be okay. We just have to lower our weighted average because we typically go for above a 65, but if we're doing 100 to 50, there's not going to be as many entries. So we would probably have to lower it to like maybe 55 to 60, which is still good. There's still edge there. It's just not going to be super high. Let me scroll down. Yeah, Sam said, isn't your open breakout 100 to 50 was good to where drawdown was the issue? Yeah, we used that before in the past with regard to, drawdown issues, of course. But again, it's so the problem with me using a wider TP stop loss for the hedge fund clients is that not everyone can take that much risk, right? Right now, we've kind of set the risk to like 300 or 200 because we're doing a 40-20. If I increase it to 100 point TP and 50 point stop loss, the risk would go up substantially. Instead of risking 200 per trade, they would be risking 500 per trade. Or no, instead of risking 100 per trade, they'd be risking 500. So that's going to be something that's going to be kind of hard for me to factor in with the hedge fund clients using a bigger TP stop loss. All right, so Masih here is going to take over, guys. I'm going to make Masih a co-host. All right, Masih, if you want to share your screen, feel free to share it, and then I'll disconnect mine. And you can talk to if you like.
Okay, everyone, can you see my screen?
All right, guys, let me disconnect mine. All right, Masih is on, guys. So go ahead, Masih. I'll mute myself, and then you can take over.
Okay, great. So as you all know, I've been posting all this stuff. It's the extension I made for the algo. Basically what it does is I'm gonna first explain how to install it. I'm getting a bit ahead of myself here. So at the bottom always is gonna be the latest version. So it's a .zip file. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna download it. It's gonna go into your downloads folder and it's gonna be this file. It's going to be tradingview-extension.zip. So if you're on Mac, you're going to double click this. So I'll just delete this. Well, I'm not going to delete it because I have it loaded right now, but you would double click this and it would give you this folder here, which has the Chrome extension in it. So then you're going to go to your Google Chrome. You're going to click on this here, extensions, and then click manage extensions. Okay. So you're going to then click load unpacked. Sorry, you're going to first click developer mode. So this is going to be off. So you're going to have to turn on developer mode like that. And then you're going to click load unpacked. and it will be there right in your download. You're going to click this folder and then press select. So then you'll go to your chart. Sorry, this is still here. You'll go to your chart. You'll open strategy tester down here when you have the Kodikai momentum algorithm open, because that's the algo. And then, so you have this, you're going to click on the extension up here. I mentioned you should pin the extension so it's easy to see. So we're going to reload. I'm just reloading because I was using this earlier. I'm going to copy my key from the Discord. Okay. Each key is bound to each person's device. So, sorry, wrong. Each key is bound to each person's device. So each person has their own unique key. I'm going to show how to request that in a second, and I'll either approve or deny your request based on how much you're requesting for. So yeah, I have this open. I have the TradingView Automator extension open. I have the strategy tester open, and then this is the inputs. So what me and Sean do is we do from 8:29 to 10 a.m. This is market time. So this is Chicago. The wait time, this depends on how fast your computer is. I put it around 5 to 10. If you have time and you want to be safer, put it at 10 seconds, but I'm going to put it at 5 for the sake of this test. Then your risk to reward is pretty self-explanatory. And yeah, I'm going to press start automation. So it's connecting. You should see these steps going up. It opened the tester automatically. As of right now, I am not doing anything. It's selecting by itself with momentum. It's now going to close the tab. It's going to reopen it. It's going to scroll down to the times. It's going to input 8:29. As you see, it was our first time. It's going to wait for the report to update fully. Let's wait for it to, the report is updated. Now it's going to press download data. And as you see, it's downloaded. And it will do this for every single time that we inputted with or against momentum. So I'm going to stop it now. I'm going to look at the chat now, see if anyone has any questions about that. How am I meant to see chat? Here we go. Okay. If anyone has any questions, they can type them in the chat now. Okay. Doesn't seem, oh, okay. What happens if you don't have a Mac? So Patricia, it should work even if you don't have a Mac. You need to have Google Chrome, and you do all the same steps. The only step that would be different is when you're in the Finder. When you're in like your file manager, instead of double clicking the zip file, you would right click it, open the equivalent on Windows, and then you would there would be an unzip option here, and that would create the same folder. Does that answer your question, Patricia? Okay, great. So now I'm going to show you how to request a key in the server. So you're going to go to the request API key. As you can see, I've been requesting some keys because I was testing. I'm going to dismiss these. So what you do is you do slash and then request. This thing should come up, request. So now you're going to input your rate limit. So this is basically how many, I'm running this on my own server, and I didn't want people spamming it and destroying my server. So I implemented a rate limit. For Sean and me, I have it set at 200, which is very overkill. If you 50 is what you should request by default, like just input 50 and then press enter, because that will give you more than enough. If you request more than 50, I may deny you. Just send me a DM on why you need more than 50. But yeah, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to request, well, I can't do it because I already have a key, but if you do that, you request 50, it will send me a DM. You can see she sent me a request and I approved it. Yeah. And then you can just, as I mentioned, you'll get your key and then you just input it here and you just press start automation. So that will get you all the back tests that you need. Um, right now, I gave Sean access to the Python program that takes in the back tests and basically outputs uh, exactly this. Pretty much, it outputs exactly this, but you could do it for any ticker, any symbol. You could do it for any time range, any risk to reward ratio. So basically, you can find your own edge using this. But yeah, so I don't have the uh, the Python file posted here yet. I need to implement the key system on it as well. It'll be posted by the end of this week, and then yeah, everyone can go and find their own strategies. Does anyone have any other questions? That's pretty much it. It's pretty simple. CJ, I mean, you can request 75. 50 should be more than enough. Just tell me why you would need 75 in a DM, and I'll probably accept. It's just these server run costs are very high. If I get too many people signing up, I'll have to talk to Sean about this. I don't want to have to charge people, but it's going to cost a lot of money to run these servers. So I don't know. We'll see in the future. But yeah. Okay. Thanks, Lamar. Any other questions? I'll be on for a while, accepting API key requests. Okay. I don't see any other questions. Thanks, everyone.
Cool. So yeah, guys, that is a way of automating everything. Thanks to Masich for putting that together. This takes a lot of the work out of identifying entries, especially if you guys want to trade other assets, other than YM. I personally only trade YM, but if you could run this tool on ES, gold, silver, whatever you guys want to trade, really. You can run it and see if how you could find an edge. So the reason why Masij is sharing this is because we want other people to kind of help with identifying edge, right? Right now it's mainly like me and Masij kind of working on this together. But if we have more brains and more people working together to figure out what has better edge, maybe we could trade different assets, maybe we could trade different time frames, maybe we could trade different risk to reward ratios. This will help. It's all it's a team effort, especially for us here. We're all in this together, trying to improve our edge, improve our profits, improve everything really in general. But like what Masih said, he's running this platform on his own server. So, he has to pay the API cost. This was like the problem with me kind of using AI to create a learning, like machine learned system, because I understand that the API costs do add up very, very quickly, especially if people are pulling API, uh, a lot of data consecutively and consistently. So, big thanks to Masih for allowing us to do this freely. But again, if you guys want to use it, on a bigger scale, and if you guys want to pull more data with regard to API, I'll be talking to Masij about this. Obviously, he can possibly charge a fee for that if that becomes the case, because a little fee that you'll pay for this API data to run the algo on a server to pull the data for you is going to be more beneficial than you doing it by hand, right? Like if you can find an edge and you can make one or two wins trading something else, right? Like trading ES, NQ, gold, whatever it may be, it's going to weigh out, right? Like you can pay Masich a small fee to use the server, and then but again, you don't have to do that now, but in the future, if that's something that you would like, you could probably work out some sort of deal with him to use a server to pull this data. Because like I said, if you're taking one trade, like for example, let's just use this for an example. If you're taking one trade on say ES or whatever it may be, one trade, one contract, times 5 times uh 40 or whatever it may be, right? That's like a $200 profit. If you're paying Siege like $100 or whatever, or less than $100 to use the server, if you need to pull more data than what's allowed, then it kind of weighs out, right? Like you'll make more profit with this trade versus what you pay him for the server use. So yeah, Masiche, as of right now, just one user, me, it costs about $10 a day, an API per person. So it's not cheap at all. And with lots of people, it can get into the thousands a month. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, you guys got to be realistic if you guys want to pull data, which is completely fine. But yeah, there might be. you might have to pay some sort of kickback if you want to pull more data. So you can do the bare basic right now with like pulling data for YM and stuff like that. But in the future, if you want to pull data for like ES, NQ, all these other assets, and then you want to, because it starts with a small scale, right? Right now you're pulling data for YM between 6:30 and 8 o'clock, right? That's fine. How much data do you really need? But if you start pulling data like for 24 hours, and then you start pulling data for other assets, obviously that's going to start to pile up. So just something to keep in mind, guys. Again, Masij is making this tool available to you guys. So big thanks to Masij for doing this. Masij has a background in programming and coding and stuff like that. So he showed you the bare basic of like what you do with the tool. But then after that, you'll be able to pull up he'll give you the Python uh basically tool app, and then from there it'll pull up data like this is where it becomes really cool because it'll actually pull all this data up for you, right? So instead of doing it by hand, you have the Python application or whatever you want to call it. I don't know what you guys would call it, whatever the Python uh code or whatever, and it'll spit out this data for you. So see how like this makes things so much easier because you don't have to actually do the work. It'll do it for you. It's all automated. So I mean, I think this is more beneficial than doing by hand. Because if you were to do this by hand, like I don't know how long this would take me, honestly. This would take me like a week to pull a year's data, right? But with a click of a button, you can just have your computer do it for you. So Um, yeah, no, definitely. Thanks. If you guys have any more questions regarding this, Masij is usually awake. He's in European time, so opposite of us here in the US. He's usually awake, I think, from now until like 1 p.m. Pacific. So if you guys want to talk with him, you guys can always talk. I think it's better if you guys with him in the chat. Like if you guys go over here to the premium and go to the premium chat and talk in here so that everyone can kind of pull ideas from like whatever questions you're asking Masij, right? So just keep that in mind if you guys want to do that. I would highly recommend talking in the chat versus DM because I'm sure other people have the same questions you do. They just don't know what questions to ask. So just so that it's more collaborative and if there's anything specific that you guys need help with, Masij doesn't have to answer it multiple times. You guys can just revert back to the chat. So.
Sorry, everyone. I just forgot to mention you need premium trading view.
Okay, yeah. And then one thing too is you need Premium Trading View um, to have the data. Yeah, because you're going to be limited with how much data you can pull. Like for example, here, if you have Premium Trading View, I can go as far back as I want in its entire history. If you're not on Premium, you're like limited to I think 30 days or something like that. So just another heads up on that. Thanks, Masij, for reminding us. But yeah, other than that, let me check the chat to see if there's anything else that we're missing. Let's see. Rev is asking, do we need Masij's data if I'm just following your YM every day? No, you don't, Rev. So Masij's data, it's not his data, but it's more so his tool that's used to pull the data. So you don't need it, but it's like if you want to find your own edge. Like for example, I'm only trading YM, right? And I'm only trading YM between 6:30 and 8. So I already do that for you. You don't need to do it if you just want to trade with me. But if you want to find your own edge, if you want to trade in the evening, right? If you want to trade Asia session or London session, or if you want to trade ES, or if you want to trade NQ, GC, any of that stuff, that's where it would come in handy. But if you just want to trade what I'm trading, you're completely fine. You don't need it. It's just an extra tool to help pull the uh, pull the data without having to actually do the work by hand. CJ said, I'm not gonna lie, this is really cool. I feel like I got an early Christmas present. Yeah, no, it's super cool, CJ. I mean, especially for you because you've been around for a while and you understand how to find your edge and stuff like that. It helps you kind of just find your own trades, right? Which is cool because if you want to trade during Asia session, like for example, I know there's trades that come up during Asia session. I just don't want to trade in Asia session. I like to trade within my edge period, which is 6:30 to 8, and that's pretty much it. Um, let's see. Alad said, any chance we can open the downloaded text file to see what's in it? Yeah, so I mean, here's what's in it. Uh, a lot here. I can kind of show you. There's a README in there, but it's not like, or I don't even know if there's even a README in here anymore. There was a README here before. Let's see, I don't know if you took it out, but this is what the file, like what the folder looks like. You can look at it, but it's not gonna, you can't really do anything with it. You'd have to, you'd have to open it as a extension within uh, Google Chrome. So, I mean, if you want to open it, you're able to open it, but you won't be able to extract it how you normally would through Chrome. You scroll up a little bit. Kim said, "Thank you. You need to watch this again." Yeah, it'll be recorded, guys. So you guys can always rewatch this. JJ said, "I'm in the hospital right now. We'll need to watch this later." Hopefully you're okay, JJ. Yeah, hopefully nothing's serious. But yeah, you guys can rewatch this later. It is going to be available for you guys. I'll repost it again as well in the chat so that you guys can rewatch it. Lila said, I'm feeling like when I first took statistics, lost. I'm just going to continue playing, follow the leader and keep it simple. Yeah, definitely, Lila. You guys don't have to use it. It's just an option. But if you guys want to use it, it is available for you guys there. All right, let me scroll down, make sure I'm not missing anything else. All right, Lamar's done for the day. Masih said if anyone needs help, he'll be available. Okay, perfect. And I think that's it for the questions, guys. So we covered basically the basics of like the Chrome extension. Once you have that, you guys can pull the data, and then I guess in the future, Masij will explain how to use Python to put it into actual data like this. It's not very difficult though. You just kind of have to put it in the terminal if you guys know how to use Python. Uh, and just to put this through like the basic terms is like I don't know how to use Python at all. Masij basically walked me through it. I just copy pasted what he had me, and this is what it looks like actually. It's pretty cool. So you put in your terminal, and I just put in like the information, and this is what it spits out. So basically, I put the information here through Python. I have no Python background. I didn't know what I was doing, and this is what it came out with. So basically, we ran the data from like last week or last month, and it gave me all the days here with target entries, not regular entries, recommended direction, etc. So it's a pretty cool tool, and it helps a lot. I mean, honestly, like imagine having this, and then now you just copy. Like for example, these are the entries that we had, and instead of me doing this by hand, I mean, I still would do it by hand because I like to know myself, but this is going to help me not miss trades. And this is what it would look like. Pretty cool, huh? So it has a time, target entry, recommended direction, etc. And it's all run through Python. So even if you guys don't have a coding background like me, um, it can do it for you directly. Yeah, and Masish said he made it so it converts into a sheet as well. Okay, perfect. Yeah, so it automatically puts into a sheet like how mine looks right here. Perfect. Yeah, no, definitely. All right, guys. So I think that's it for the day. Yeah, thanks again, Masish, for putting this together and for making this available to us. Um, and yeah, we'll talk further in the chat. But yeah, I think that's it, guys. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to hit me up. I will update the spreadsheet here as I have some time today. I'm gonna be stepping away for a little bit, so you guys can send me messages or I'll try to update this. But I'll post a link of the YouTube video on the premium so that you guys can rewatch it. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. But again, guys, no entries for me today. I did document all the entries for that came up, but I didn't take anything because nothing lined up with what I was looking for, which was typical for a Monday. So, all right, guys, if you guys have any questions, hit me up on Discord. Otherwise, Masij will also be on Discord if you guys have any questions for him. And if that's about it, then I'll see you guys back here tomorrow for the next live session.